Hey there neighbors, Kevin here with the etrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the replacement Quickie Electric RV Steps with control module and motor here on our 2019 Holiday Rambler Admiral Class A Motorhome. So this specific kit is going to give you a majority of what you would need from the complete assembly. The only thing it's not going to give you is the door magnet, which you can see one half of here on our screen door. The other half is built into our door flange here. So what that's going to entail is the steps, the actual bracketry and mounting bracket on there. It's going to give you that light on there. Your control module is already going to be installed, as well as the gearbox, linkage, and the motor. Aside from that, there is also going to be a harness included just in case you need to replace yours. Finding the right replacement step for your setup can be a pretty easy process if you still have the sticker. That's going to tell you exactly what your series is. So right here it says 26 series. Aside from that, reaching out to us, we can definitely help you out, figure out exactly what series you have. But say you just don't have the time to do so, or maybe you just don't feel like crawling under your motorhome, you got better things to do, then please feel free to use our dealer locator. You can enter in your zip code and find a shop near you and get this professionally installed. If you are wanting to do it yourself, stick around and I'll walk you through the process. So starting off our install, you can obviously see why this needs to be replaced. All bent up, looks like we probably hit something, we drove right over it. I've already kind of hammered this back into place because it was even worse, bent out to where we wouldn't have had access to the mounting bolts. So I just kind of hammered back over to straighten this out a little bit more so we can get a little bit more access in there. But why don't we get under here, we can take a look, because the first thing we're going to do is disconnect our wiring, so that way we can disconnect it from our motorhome side here and then just drop it all right when we get those nuts off of our mounting bolts. So just a brief overview of what the underside of your steps are going to look like. You're going to have a control module. That's this guy right here, this little triangle and square piece with all the wiring coming out of it. Right next to that is our motor with our linkage. So it's a good thing to get down every now and then and just check that, make sure it's not getting worn in or possibly breaking, because that is one of the #1 things we see here that goes out usually. Next to that, you also have a light. That light's all ran through the plug that they have over here. Now, this has already been disconnected, and that is our motor. So that would have been plugged in right there, and they disconnected it for obvious reasons because this is all busted up and they don't want that to open every time they open the door to the motorhome. So let's disconnect our light. We've got a ground that's running up, and it looks like it's grounded to the steps right here leading in. And then we've got our plug, which has all of our functions. So we'll disconnect that, pull that down, and I need to disconnect that ground. Now we can start taking out the mounting bolts. So on this one, it's going to be 4 bolts, 1 in each corner. And from the top, you can see the bolt head. So I've already gone ahead and checked it. I'm going to need to use a 9/16 socket and wrench to get it off. All right, and I am going to hang on to my hardware just because they do not give you replacement hardware. All right, now that I'm getting pretty loose here, I've just thrown a cam strap over the mounting bracket up top and then just over the steps. Typically, you wouldn't be doing this up on a lift, though. You could easily just lay on the ground and do this, and then you wouldn't really need a strap. All right, now I'm going to loosen my cam strap, and we can drop this down. So I checked what hardware I had for the lock nut and flat washer, and luckily we had some on hand, same size, so I am going to swap that out. If you wanted to, you can take that old hardware to your local hardware store and find a good replacement if yours is looking a little bit corroded or rusted out like that. But at this point now, I'm going to lift up my steps into place, and I am going to use the cam strap again to just kind of help hold it while we get everything in order here. Might be a little bit easier said than done, though, getting it set up. If you have an extra set of hands, that would also be pretty useful. There we go. Line up my hardware. Got it up there. We've got nuts on the front too. I've got the strap helping to support this too. I'm gonna try and line my hardware up. Then we'll throw on our flat washer and lock nut. I'll have to go back to the other ones where we got just the lock nut to help hold it in place while we get the other ones, and then put the flat washer on with that too. All right, I've got all my hardware tightened down. Yeah, we're all snug against the frame here, and now it's time to start hooking up our wiring. So with this being connector style, this is going to be real simple. We're just putting it right back like for like. Now, if you did need to replace that, this will come with a replacement harness. So this portion of it, the 4-wired harness here, just pigtailed at the end, so that way you can just splice it right on. With this still working to our knowledge, I'm going to leave it alone, and we'll just hang on to that harness, and if there ever was an issue later on down the road, then we can replace it. This is for our light, and now we just need to get our ground back on there, and I've got that screw sitting aside. And now all this excess wiring, I'm just going to zip tie up, keep it out of the way, and keep it away from the motor here. So now that we have everything snugged down, we have all of our wiring connected and zip tied up out of the way. Last thing is to just actually test out our steps, make sure that they're functioning properly. If they are coming on but they're not acting just right while we're opening and closing our door, it might be an issue with the magnetic switch that we have built into the door, which we didn't replace in this case. This is not going to come with it. This is more so if you are replacing a broken step like we were. If you're wanting to replace everything, you're going to want to make sure that you're picking up the complete assembly, which will also come with that door magnet. That way you can pop it in. Typically, with it already being ran, what you can do is you can get to the wiring down here, which I'm assuming is probably these two. Probably just got power and ground running up to them, because it comes out right in our door here, right on the edge of the door. So that way when the door closes, the two magnets will make contact, and then it'll know whether it's a normally open or normally closed magnet, and then it can activate or retract the steps. So that might be an issue. That's typically what I find if there is an issue going on. It's that door magnet, or maybe the magnet just got a little bit dirty just from debris flying around as you're going in and out of your motorhome. So that'd be my next thing to check. But aside from that, if everything's working, the only thing you really should do once in a while, just wipe down your step with a soft bristle brush. Try to get anything out of the hinges here, so that way you don't have any kind of buildup that could potentially kind of stop it up, and then it's not going to properly open or close, or then it's trying to force through that. If you see any surface rust start to form, maybe sand and then repaint, so that way it can glide a little bit easier, and then you're not putting as much pressure on the motor or the linkage, because those are also points of stress on these steps, where that's typically what we're replacing. If you needed to replace that, the motor and linkage, and then also the actual gearbox itself, can all be purchased separately or all in one piece together. And then from there, it's just your control module, which all that stuff you can pick up here at eTrailer. So if you are finding you're having some issues, definitely reach out to us. We'd be happy to help you out. But with all that being said, it's going to do it for the installation here.